What's going on, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today, and for you guys I have something new. This is actually my little brother Jerry's deck. He actually just went undefeated at a rogue tournament where you could only play rogue decks, and he went undefeated with Mermail, so I had to showcase it. Of course, if you guys are new here, consider subscribing, hit that notification bell. You guys will be notified whenever I upload. You guys will be notified when I stream, both here on YouTube and Twitch. Links are in the description. While you're down in the description, consider joining my Discord community. We just have a really awesome, ever-growing community over there. If you want to purchase any of the cards that I show you guys today, or any other cards in general for your decks, please use my TCG player link. It's in the description below. A portion of what you spend goes back to the channel. It helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. And last but not least, if you want to further support me in the channel, consider becoming a channel member. It's now live. Just click the join button, or also consider becoming one of my Patreons. With all that out of the way, you guys, you're probably wondering, Slim, what the hell is a rogue tournament? And I'm gonna be honest with you, I had the same exact question. So my little brother is very fortunate enough to be able to go to locals, and they decided to do something different. Instead of the standard, just play your main deck tournament, they had a very insane set ban list of cards you could not play. And when I tell you guys what this is, it's gonna baffle your mind, because this is literally like, you're so limited to what you can play if you're a meta player. I myself would probably be screwed, because I don't know if I could actually play this, but you could not play cards like Overraptor, Miscellaneous, I can't even say, Misk, Ultimate Conductor, Tyranno. You couldn't play Dogmatica, Ecclesia. You couldn't play Maximus. You couldn't play Servant. You couldn't play Ben 10. You couldn't play Eldritch. If you guys are getting the gist, you could not play any of the meta decks. You couldn't play Eldritch. You couldn't play Invocation. You couldn't play Rockets. You couldn't play Virtual World, Lulu. You couldn't play Mystic Mine. You couldn't play Dragoon. No VFTD. No Zexal. No Zeus. No Howley Fibrax. No Isolde. No LP. No Pisty, no Floodgates, like there can only be one. Rivalry goes in, and you couldn't play Guru, Altergeist, or Lyralist Tri-Brigade. Now, guys, you're probably thinking, what the hell am I supposed to play? Well, my little brother loves his deck to death. He is the king of the sea. He is Neptune. He is Poseidon. He is all of them. And he chose to play Mermails. Now, you guys are probably wondering, with such a limit, why would I feature this deck? Well, I would feature this deck because this deck can actually still play in this format, and he also told me the changes he would make. So while he did play a rogue tournament and did play against only other rogue decks, I think it's important to talk about Mermails, because it's a deck that really just not a lot of players play this format. A lot of players have tried. There was some success with it, but it just didn't do as well as other decks have. But we'll go through the deck very quickly, and then I'll talk about the changes he would make and how this deck can compete in the format. If you are a Mermail player, this can give you some insight to how you can play the deck. Now, granted, remember, this was a rogue tournament. Some of these ratios are obviously going to change because of how the format is, and the hand traps are going to change. But for this said tournament, I think he built a really strong deck, and again, he did go undefeated with it. So for the main deck, there are 3 copies of Ash Blossom. That's just standard. If you're playing in a rogue tournament against rogue decks in general, Ash is just very strong. The standard triple Atlantean Dragoons, along with the 2 copies of Heavy Infantry, the 2 copies of Marksman, of course, triple Diva, along with the Deep Seal Minstrel, and the 1 copy of the Gun. Triple Megalo, that's standard. The 1 copy of Pike, the triple copies of Teus, the 1 copy of Mullen Glacia. You can still rip cards out of your opponent's hand, so that's pretty crazy. You got the 3 copies, of course, Prince. I still to this day cannot stand this card, but it is what it is. Just have a lot of flashback memories with this card. And then triple Nibiru. If you notice the hand trap lineup, it's just 3 Nibiru and 3 Ash. Now, these cards are still very strong, though, against even the decks of this format. Could be good against Drytron if they overextend. Could be very good against Virtual World players that overextend. So these cards are still warranted even in a non-rogue format. Spells, he's got the 1 copy of the Spell Negator, Mizuchi, the 1 scale that does the first spell that gets activated. You just negate it. Called by, of course, you can combo. The 1 copy of Deep Sea Aria. This card reads, banish 1 water monster from your graveyard. You add a level 4 or lower Sea Serpent monster from your deck to your hand. You can activate once per turn. He only played 1. Searches Diva. Card's insane. Triple Lightning Storm. Obviously, you go second against back row decks. You can just take care of this. Now, while you weren't allowed to play Guru or Altergeist or stuff like that, there are other decks people could play. There are Floodgates that people could play. There is, of course, the 1 Reborn. Only 1 Moray of Greed. Now, I know you guys are probably going to look at these ratios and wonder why he chose these ratios. He's played the deck for so long. He's played this deck a really, really long time, and he knows that, bogging your deck down with multiple copies of stuff does not help. Granted, you could use multiple Moray of Greeds in 1 turn. However, that really doesn't solve your problem if you keep just trying to fix your hand constantly. Like the one Moray of Greed will hopefully help you if you have a pseudo just not that good hand, but you can still play even with the one copy. The one for one because it's busted. One Avarice, you have the option to play 3, but again, why would you want to brick on multiple Avarice in the early game? Like if you could just get to your 5 water monsters, drop your Moaling Glacier, then Avarice, the game is pretty much over. 2 copies of Talents in order to, you know, just it's an out to just any problematic card. If you need to take it, it lets you draw 2 more cards, or it lets you rip a card out of your opponent's hand, so the card's very strong. And then he runs a 1 Upstart Goblin. I don't fully understand that. I've even told him, you know, you can still play the Upstart. Like, it's fine. It makes your side decking easier, so there is an argument for that. I've never been a fan of playing Upstart in over a 40-card deck, but I have seen other players do it. There have been 60-card decks that do play Upstart because it does give you that option to side out another card, so take that for what it's worth. The side deck, he's got triple Lancia, 1 copy of Pankratops, 3 copies of Droll, 3 copies of Gamma Seal. Obviously, this card's really good with the water deck. 1 copy of Duster, the 1 Order, and the triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. And then the extra deck, he's got the 1 copy of Crocosaurus, just helps you draw cards, helps you pop cards, card's good. The 1 Dweller, obviously, this was the original Dweller deck. The 1 copy of Bahamut, can summon Toad. The 1 copy of Abyss Gaios, this card's very strong, especially in this deck. The 1 copy of Flare Metal, this could actually negate stuff and make your opponent take 500 damage. It's pretty cool, actually. I like this card a lot. So whenever they use an effect, immediately after it resolves, they literally take 500 damage. That's actually crazy. 2 copies of Toad, you have multiple copies of it, so the card's very strong. The 1 access code Togger to end games, the 1 copy of Appaloosa, just to set up a really strong board. Like, you can Appaloosa for 4 quite easily in this deck, and literally like have some other plays. Your opponent can't really play through that. All 3 Nightmares, both Cerebus, Phoenix, and Unicorn, obviously just very good, just very versatile cards in the format. The 1 Linkuriboh, the 1 copy of the Marincess, Coral, Anemone. So this card's actually really cool. I've seen this card before in like Paleo decks. You target 1 water monster with 1500 or less attack in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to. You can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except water, but obviously you're playing water, so it's fine. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Marincess card in your graveyard. I don't even remember what this card does, and you can accept itself, add it to your hand. That doesn't come up, but it's the fact that you get another monster on board, and then you can climb even higher if need be. And then of course the 1 Miss Starboy, because this just sets up plays for Toad and just makes your water monsters gain 500. So you guys are probably wondering, all right, awesome, it won a rogue tournament, cool, it was able to hang with the rogue decks. Like I said, this is just a rogue option for those of you that play rogue. However, if you want to play this deck in this format, he said the things he would change is he would play Ghost Bell, he would probably shave the deck down a little bit, and then he would play just other cards to combat the format. If you guys notice, one thing about this is by main decking the Nibiru, like I said, you do have a good matchup against decks that overextend, combo decks, stuff like that. But if you want more versatile cards, you can play cards like Meister, you can play cards like Crow, you can play cards like Ghost Bell, you can play other cards like that, and those will serve pretty much the same purpose to help you combat the format. While I don't think this deck is completely out of the water, no pun intended, for the format, I think the deck is strong. If piloted correctly. I think this is a deck you have to pilot correctly. There are a lot of decks in this format. I mentioned Prank Kids and other decks like that. I would put Water there as well as a deck that you yourself have to be a very good pilot with it, because while this deck is very strong, it can crumple to hand traps, but if you're a good water player, you know how to play through those hand traps. And again, Moaling Glacier being able to rip 2 cards is pretty crazy. It does help you in a lot of matchups, and I think that is very strong. So I highly suggest that if you guys are going to pick up this deck, just fine-tune it for the format. And like I said, you could do that by playing cards like Ghost Bell or playing other hand traps that'll help you in the format. But if you look at how the deck is designed, it can go toe-to-toe with the format. It just needs a couple changes. Honestly, I think this deck could even be fine going up against stuff like Virtual World or stuff like that. You do have the Nibirus, you do have the Ash, but if you do want to add more cards to stop decks like that and decks like Drytron, just take the advice that I mentioned. It should be just fine. But again, wanted to give you guys something different today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Again, shout out to my little brother Jerry. He went undefeated with his deck. Super proud of him. He loves playing water. It's one of his favorite decks. He has his deck max rarity as well, so it's just beautiful to look at. I absolutely love it. I'm just really happy for him. I'm also happy for his locals deciding to play something different for the players that got tired of the format. You can also do this at your own locals, or when you play online, you have the option to not play against meta. So I think it is cool. Give you something different to think about and something that you can definitely try going forward. But that's everything for today, you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, you guys know what to do. Smash that like button and let me know your thoughts on water going forward in the format. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.